I grew up really sort of being very obsessive about music, and in our house, my dad used to be a builder, so he used to clear out houses and bring back everything from jazz to whatever. So, we weren't really a musical family, but whatever was there was played. And I normally kind of nicked it and took it to my room and listened to a lot of jazz, people like Pearl Bailey, and I was obsessive about Bowie and Gladys Knight as well. You also have to remember that sort of before the 80s, you had the 70s, which was a fantastic time to be a teenager because you had so much different types of music, punk, disco, reggae, electronic music started. I mean, I remember the first time I ever saw the Human League play with, I think, the Gang of Four. And it was the first time you'd ever seen a band without instruments. And it was fantastic. It was really revolutionary and exciting.
And very important, the influences that you mentioned. David Bowie, probably more than many.
Well, I saw him do Ziggy when I was 13, thanks to my grandmother, because I'd sort of watched Bowie on the Old Grey Whistle test the first time he was ever on there. I was like, oh my God, who's that? Living in suburbia, feeling like a bit of an outcast. So I managed to get my dad to buy me tickets to go and see him at Lewisham Odeon, which they've knocked down now, which I think is sacrilege. Should be a shrine, really.
And then you obviously, along the way, some point, realised you had a talent. But how did you come to join up with the likes of Mikey Craig and John Moss and Roy, of course? How did Culture Club come about?
Well, a lot of it came from sort of, going to see punk bands and, thinking, actually, if they can do it, I can. Mikey had seen a picture of me in the NME because I was in Bow Wow for about 3 weeks. And Malcolm sort of announced that I'd been thrown out, and there's a picture of me and Annabella in the NME. And I was DJing at a club called Planets, a new romantic club. And Mikey turned up and said, can you sing? And I said, well, I've been told I can. I said, what do you do? And he said, I play bass. And I said, oh, that's interesting. He said, do you want to be in a band? And I was like, yeah, I do. I want to be a star.
In a way, the Culture Club splitting was the best thing that could have happened to you, wasn't it?
Well, it was necessary at the time because, we'd sort of had a bit of a roller coaster sort of ride, really. I mean, when you get that famous very quickly, you kind of lose control of your life and you're sort of flying all over the globe, and it's fantastic. I mean, a lot of the stuff that you see about the band, a lot of documentaries tend to focus on the kind of negative aspects of that. But you have to remember, I was 21 years old and I'd never had a checkbook or a passport, and suddenly I was sort of, swanning off to Los Angeles and Japan, and it was great. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but at a certain point, when you're in a band, you're living in each other's pockets, and, when you're going out with one of the bands as well, that doesn't really help. When I travel around the world or the country, I do meet people who come up and say, you've made my life easier, or you've made it easier for me to deal with whatever I am, whether it's sexuality or just not fitting in, feeling weird. So I think that is the job of an artist. The job of an artist is to challenge stereotypes, not to embrace them. I mean, I've been DJing for 10 years now. In the early days, it was very difficult because people would come along or ring up Kareem and say, is he going to do a Karma Chameleon? He's like, nope, he's not. So don't turn up with your dreadlocks and your photograph album. But that's gone now. I mean, England is really the best kind of dance culture because I've been everywhere.